My next book is going to be set in Peru. Here's the thing, I've never actually been there. I was supposed to go. I had the trip booked. I was going to visit Machu Picchu, explore Cusco personally, and then COVID shut down the world about a week before my flight. So instead of being able to use my own knowledge and impressions, I've been reading everything I can get my hands on. And this book is going to be a little different from the first four. Those were focused on aliens, on UFO disclosure, and what happens when ordinary people decide to take matters into their own hands rather than trust the government. This one will have a much more sacred geometry slash metaphysical current running through it. It's more focused on the reality behind the facade in a world in which humanity's vibrations are rising. So sitting down to do my research, I thought I'd just be reading about the Inca. Standard stuff. Cusco, the Sacred Valley, Machu Picchu, all very impressive, but these are things we're already familiar with. And then I fell down a couple of unexpected rabbit holes. There's a paper that came out by the University of Helsinki 2 months ago, peer-reviewed research that was published in Nature. And they used LIDAR, laser mapping from the plains, to see through the jungle canopy in Brazil along the border with Peru and Bolivia. What they found was over 20,000 earthworks, geometric ditched enclosures. They call them geoglyphs, spread over an area now estimated at about 183,000 square kilometers. That's over 34,000 American football fields. And it was roughly triple what researchers originally thought was the extent of this civilization. And the population estimate was even more surprising. At its peak, nearly 2,000 years ago, which was over a millennium before the Inca ever appeared on the scene, somewhere between 1 and 3 million people lived in this stretch of untouched rainforest. And get this, the area surveyed was less than 1/15th of 1% of the Amazon basin. And this is proof that the Amazon wasn't some pristine wilderness that humans barely touched. It was built. It was densely inhabited, and then largely forgotten. If that's true for the Amazon basin, what else did we assume was empty that wasn't? What else did we assume never existed just because we never bothered to look for it? And then I ran into something even closer to the sacred geometry heart of this new book, the Nazca Estrellas. Not the famous Nazca lines, not the hummingbird, the spider, the monkey. Everyone's seen a photo of those. These are different. They're huge geometric symbols, some over 600 feet across, found by drones on top of mountains. They're only visible from the air. What's got researchers and investigators excited isn't just that they exist, it's how precise they are. Some of these figures are built from multiple interlocking geometric constructions, the kind of geometry you'd only expect from a civilization with a formal mathematical tradition, not from a culture that we assumed was using sticks and strings to measure things. Now, I want to be honest with you. A lot of what's circulating about the Nazca Estrellas right now, alignment theories, connections to sites on other continents, ideas about who built them and why, is speculative. If you want to learn more about them, I suggest watching Bass Forge on YouTube. The man is in the weeds brilliant. I only understand about half of what he says. But this is exactly the kind of open, unresolved mystery that a metaphysical, sacred geometry flavored science fiction novel indulges in. I'm not writing a textbook. I'm writing science fiction inspired by questions nobody's answered yet. sometimes inspired by the questions that nobody has even thought to ask. The reality of ancient South America is so much stranger, older, and more populated than the version that most of us grew up with. Whole civilizations hidden under the rainforest canopy, geometric knowledge etched into the tops of mountaintops. And we're still trying to figure it out. And that gap between what we assumed and what's actually down there is exactly where my next book is going to take place. I never made it to Machu Picchu, at least not yet. But it turns out the story is much bigger than that one site, anyhow.